what you told me no more. You or I, just us with no tears to cry, now just waves of deception. With every false loop we find a new lesson to learn, like walking through fire, you're sure to get burned. Reduced to ashes with no way to return back to we. Lost within caverns of deception. You see, there's no discretion when we open up our mouths and speak. Pride is so strong, and maybe that's what makes our love so weak. But who's to blame for the present state of mistakes that led us up to this point? I mean, hell. Milli Vanilli blamed it on the rain, so should we just do the same and blame it on what should be? I mean, should we act like we don't even involve you and me, but to other lovers in which time forgot? You see, the intricate plot that we have here is getting old. In the beginning, we were the envy of all love stories ever told, but now we're like that coldest hour before winter's dawn break, burdened with an inevitable tomorrow which only God can negate. But if we could rewind back the hands of time and take back all of the lies and go back to that day before we met, would we do it all again? Find a way to fuck this up and become lovers before we become friends. I promise you, the end result will always be this. So now I guess that leaves we as you and I. Thank you.
Together, no one suffers alone.
Together, no one suffers alone.
We can show people it's really not just one of us. We are all got to come together in this. Together, nobody suffers alone. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Dawn, aka Sparkles. Thanks for joining Our Voice Matters, Exposing the Secrets. Thank you, Mind of the Storm, for always allowing us to use your platform and help us grow this so that victims have a place to speak out. Some opening guidelines that we like to go over before we start anything on here. If you are triggered by anything during this podcast, please disconnect immediately and go self-care. It's very important that you be aware of your triggers and that you're able to start taking care and separating yourself from that and trying to get through the moment however best for you. Always reach out to somebody if possible or if you have that avenue. Also, if there are any inappropriate, out-of-line comments, you will be ejected from the podcast. We don't ask questions. We are here for the safety of the victims. So with that being said, I've chosen to do this podcast tonight on documenting and documentation of domestic violence abuse. This is a topic really near and dear to my heart, given that my case is completely still just being built by myself. My case has just for the first time gotten any type of movement, and since 2019. I have finally been able to get the initial New Castle County police officer, Corporal Salter, under investigation with Internal Affairs. For me, this is huge because his question was to me, what took you so long? With all due respect, officer, it didn't take that long. It took you guys that long. I have been calling. I was told flat out by Internal Affairs that Catherine Jennings, Attorney General for the state of Delaware, has their hands tied. And then I also, through this conversation with this investigator for the New Castle County Police Department or state of Delaware, it came up that I knew about my abuser's open strangulation case. And he wanted to know how I knew about that. And so I told him. I called Catherine Jennings' office again, and she had a new person as her deputy, and that female told me the woman's name, the case number, and that it was his case, and it was open. Because I've tried to get on that case, because I also got a strangulation report, but yet I'm not allowed to press charges. So I guess it just really depends on who you are and how much help you can get, right? So that being said, Documenting domestic violence is not easy to do. When you're in the midst of everything that is going on, I mean, I know you can't, everybody, the importance, let's go over the importance first. The importance of documenting as much as you can, or asking somebody else if they witnessed it. Can you just write down what you witnessed and the date and the time and who all the people were that were involved? Documentation is so important given that we know how the laws work in pretty much the entire country. There's very few states or places that have anything great for domestic violence, to be honest. And Delaware is so small, and we have many types of barriers here because of how small we are. But I've spoken to some people from some other areas, like very small towns in Western Pennsylvania, and the stuff that I'm hearing, it's just so sad. And the documentation is the one and only thing that will give us any type of foot to stand on when it comes to trying to get the media's attention and get these stories out there. So understand, and this is to the victims and the survivors and the families that are left behind, but this is also to anybody that's watching that maybe has witnessed or has been contacted by. Start believing when somebody calls you and says that something of this nature is happening, it's really important that you believe them. It's also very important that if you're on the receiving end of this call, that you at least attempt to do the documentation. Whether you believe them or not, make the effort to at least write it down. Because even if you don't believe them, then you'll still have the information available to counter their story. So the information will still be available. So it's also really important for those that have never experienced this type of abuse, that there's a lot of things done. There's a lot of trauma that happens, but on top of that, there's a lot of physical inside damage that's done that you can't see, that affects things such as our vision, our memories, our timelines. When you are consistently abused, things start to overlap, and it's very difficult to start separating things, and the timelines start to become, they're not really aligned anymore. We've got a time circle that kind of got swerves in it, and it's not until some time goes past, maybe we are able to get the right person around us that's able to help us get things in the proper order. But it doesn't always work that way. And even in speaking to other victims, I'm realizing, and a lot of the research I'm doing, like remembering our timelines it's so hard. And there's times when out of the blue, I mean, you could be driving, for instance. I was driving between Delaware and Pennsylvania, and it was a nice day. And actually, no, I'm sorry, it was raining. And I cracked the window, and there was a smell, and it reminded me of my abuser. Like, there's really and people who have never been through this type of trauma will never, ever be able to understand the realities and the depths of what it does to us. And on top of that, psychologically, the psychological abuse that's already been endured, like that just is actually, it adds to not necessarily to the trauma, but the emotional turmoil that we deal with internally, because we're aware of the fact that in the middle of a sentence, we forget what we're saying, or that if we don't write everything down and bring all 25 Post-it notes with us, something's not going to get done. Or did I put it on my calendar one time and it ends up 4 times? Point is, these are the realities of being a victim of domestic violence. So I'm going to go over, with that being said, to the survivors, the victims, and the families left behind, don't stop fighting. We must continue to fight. Together, no one suffers alone. I mean that from like the super depths of my soul. And I understand that documentation and documenting things is dangerous. So I'm going to give you guys some of the obvious things that are out here that are said to be done. And in reality, like, I guess to those who have not experienced domestic violence or being controlled in that type of nature, some of these things just aren't realistic. So when I say that, this is what they say to do. Of course, if I suggest, if you're going to call the police, dial 911 and just throw your phone so that they can hear it. They'll be able to show up, and a lot of time they'll come quicker if you don't talk. So if you dial them, toss your phone, and the victimizer is coming at you, whether you're a male or female victim or a victim, and your victimizer is coming at you, you hit 911, toss your phone. The likelihood that they're going to go after that phone before they come after you is very small. So that's how I suggest, if you're going to call 911, you do it. They generally ask way too many questions and want too much information in time frames that we don't have. So if we're going to get hit anyway, save the time and just toss your phone. And that way when they get there, maybe then we'll have a better opportunity of getting proper reporting. So if it's an option or it's possible, you keep a journal. You can do that on your cell phone. You can do that on a piece of paper. You can do it coded. I always suggest that people code things in a way that only they understand. If you have somebody, it's always a good idea to make sure that at least two people outside that you can like 100% trust. Sometimes it might be your doctor, might be a lawyer, might be a friend a couple states away. I don't ever suggest giving it to anyone in your family or in your friend circle local. For personal reasons, I just, some people can be, if someone else has your information that's within range of being hurt and they're threatened, your information's gone, it's out there. That's my point. There's also you can use something called Proton Mail. Just don't lose your information because you'll never get the information back. And that's encrypted. It also has, you can do messaging where it dissolves. So you can send it, it'll dissolve, and anybody can go through your phone and attempt to get to that, and they'll never be able to see it. It'll only be able to be seen on the opposite person's side. If you're able to keep, there's always a file or reminder spaces and different things within your phone and apps within your phone that you can use. So even if all you can get on there is the date, the bullet points of the incidents, try and do something like that. They also say you should also try, once you're able to get away from the situation and you've documented it, like for that little tiny bit, as soon as possible, try and get as much information as you can put together from the incident. Because once we get too far from that incident, or if something happens again within certain time frames, it's very difficult to go back to that moment and remember the specifics. I know that from my personal experience. If there are witnesses, and ask them if they'll write something to take note, to please put something in writing for you, and hold on to it, or email it to that Proton Mail, because again, it's encrypted. So you can have it set up so that even if they got into it, it's unable to be seen. Take photos. Always, always, always remember to do your video files. Take photos. I understand it can be scary, but Google backup, have your Google account back up to somebody else's email, is my suggestion. Take the pictures, do your backup immediately afterwards, and delete them. That way your abuser does not have the opportunity to find them and possibly cause more harm to you. You want to document all injuries, no matter how big, no matter how small. If it was something as simple as you had a scratch on your finger, you want to note that, and you want to note what side of your body it was on. You want to note about how long it bled. There's things that are important, but a picture of that as well. And if you don't have something to measure it with, use your pinky. Is always a good point of measurement. The other thing is, of course, if you are offered medical attention, I highly suggest that you take that. Please, as soon as possible, get to somebody and get medical attention. If you do the whole 911 through your phone thing, hopefully they'll come with an ambulance not far behind. Can't make any promises on that, but hey, I'm trying to just make some realistic suggestions for victims, because I know that what's out there is so basic, and It seems so simple, but it's really not that simple, people. The other thing is file a report with the police. If you are told that you are not able to file a report by the officer, you want to make sure that you get the officer's information. You want to make sure that you at least request before they ever leave. There's a little piece of paper they should give you called a report. It's a report sheet. Has a report number. You can't press charges, but they'll write a report. This is where we get into. So from here, we're going to switch over to why obtaining your documentation is so important. So from my personal experience, I to this date have never seen a police report because I'm listed as the reporter and my abuser is listed as the victim. So that being said, this has caused an extreme problem for many, many different reasons. I'm unable. I have forensic files that are incorrect. I don't even know what's inside my police reports, but hopefully with this investigation, some things are going to start to turn around and open up. But the story is, and as it goes, and I was told that apparently I chased him with a butcher knife and stabbed him 8 times. So with that being said, these officers, I dialed 911. He came, took the phone, and threw it, and he literally threw me about 3 feet down 3 entry stairs, and at that point I was airborne. My head landed over here to the stone floor, and I was out. So by the time the rest of my body hit from my neck or from my shoulder down, it was dead weight. So you can imagine. Anyway, continue on. That's when I was told by him that he was feeding me drugs through my food. It made a lot of sense why I didn't feel what was going on. Anyhow, when I came up from that incident, I felt something dripping down my neck. So I naturally that. I didn't know what the hell was going on, really. I was so, the only thing that I could think of when I went like this is the only thing I remember. I saw a whole bunch of blood, and the only thing that went through my mind was I have to get my blood on him because that's the evidence, right? It's my blood transferred to him. Let's just say it didn't work out like that. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. This is a giggle that I have because it's an uncomfortable, the feelings attached to this are very uncomfortable because I was made out to be such a horrific person. Anyway, when the police came and showed up, he had already called his friend to come and get him. So his friend's outside taunting me, and he's in the house taunting me. He's covered in my blood. Well, hold on. Before the cops even get there, go back up. I decide I have no idea what's going on. He goes back into the living room. I'm in the kitchen. I'm trying to just, in my head, I got to stay away from him. All I could think was, something's not right with him. It was literally, and I know that sounds so, small, and, that's really what went through your head, bitch? Yeah, that's really what went through my head. In the immediate moment, it was, something's not right with him. So I have to record this. So I recorded it, parts of it, and then I went into the kitchen, decided I was going to do dishes, because I had to stay away from him. Well, that didn't work out, because he wasn't going to have that. I was not going to avoid him. And this is in my house in New York. So my abuse took place across counties, through the counties, between Sussex and Newcastle. So that's going to cause an extra issue down the road. But that same night, he threw me again. I was in there washing the dishes, just so happened to be washing a butcher knife when he came in there and was behind me and taunting me. And he grabbed me by my head. I turned around. He grabbed me by my head and threw me down again to a stone floor. And I was unconscious again. And both times, every time he's thrown me unconscious, he throws stuff on me because he has to make sure he didn't kill me. Let's be real. So from that time, I came up, and when I came to that time, both times I just remember I couldn't get up. I just laid there and stared. But that time, after that, the second time I could see the handle of a butcher knife was hanging off of the sink. So my thought was, get up and grab the knife. As soon as I got up and was able to get my hands on the knife, something internally inside of me said, I told me, if you stab him, you're going to go to jail for murder. So I dropped the knife on my wrist right here. There's not even a scar. They had me as homicidal, suicidal, amongst many other things. And they went with it. And he was covered with my blood. The officer got there and told him to go, and this is why you're documenting. Obtaining your documentation is so, so, so important. And get it as soon as possible, because records change, specifically within a hospital. Records change. They had told him, the officer Salter told him, she said, just go and get in your friend's car and leave. He's covered in blood. In my white t-shirt, all blood. So his story, irregardless, he should have been the shirt should have been taken. There's many things that should have been done. So it's really sick. Anyway, they let him leave with it. They let him take the evidence. He left. All the evidence was gone. There was nothing I had. It's no longer available. It's gone. And after being thrown unconscious, let me tell you, you kind of go blank. You get really what is going on? You would think that, I don't know. Needless to say, once I found out, this is when the crystal meth situation comes into play, right? That's when I realized that he was feeding me the drugs, and I should be taking a whole bunch more of them, because I was with a broken back, a broken hand, broken tailbone. It's still moving. So anyway, when I finally was able to get some of my files, the forensic files from Christiana Care, it was a joke. I cried. It took time to get through them, and I didn't have anybody to go through them with, so I'm throwing by myself. And I don't ever suggest that. If you have somebody to sit there with you that cares and is understanding of what you went through, ask them to sit with you while you go through them, and do it in pieces, because doing it the way I attempted to do it was horribly traumatizing for myself, and it was difficult to come back to them. So I have that suggestion, because that's never a good place to be, especially not when you're going through all the other emotions. So I started going through them anyhow, and within the first 5 pages, there were over 30 discrepancies of their own. Meaning, one page said the left side of my body, one page said the right side of my body. My gash, my 6-inch gash, was made into a couple inch scratch. My arm, I was casted from here to here, and let's just say it was really bad. And they have all these, since there's no laws, policies, and stuff like that really are of any good. There's no laws, period. There's policies and statutes. There's really not much you can do, but they do have statute of limitations, which work for these institutions, like the police, like the medical field, the hospital, doctors, previous psych doctors who know exactly what you're going through but have failed to report it. I suggest getting your records from your psych doctors to see what has been written in those about you, because when the cops are called, your psych file is available to them, and often I believe that's how decisions made, right? Whoever has the largest psych file has got to be anyhow. It's very, very important, guys, that we fight. We have to continue to fight. You have to find it somewhere within you. You've got blind faith. It really just comes blind faith, blind hope. Just the idea that you have nothing else to do in this time. So why not do something that could possibly save your life? And not just your life, but somebody else's. Because once we start really continuously fighting these cases, somebody's going to have to pay attention. And in the masses, we can make the biggest change. I am such an activist at heart. Guys, I'm here to fight for everybody, all victims of domestic violence, and I'm not here to play PI. And, sometimes we're going to have people that it's just what it is. But listen, fight. And if you need help and you need resources, you can always feel free to contact me. You can check out my business website, is where I take my emails. and that's Domestic Violence Ambassadors. And that's, you can go through the website, which is www.dvambassadors.com. On there, you'll find a questionnaire. As you get in there, it'll be right there when it'll pop up. If you could please take the time and fill that questionnaire out. We are collecting data on our own because we already know that the data that's being reported, I'm not going to say it's incorrect. What I'm going to say is that it's not inclusive of all domestic violence, because reporting's a whole nother show and another episode, and we'll have that and we'll get there. But yes, please do that. If you are interested in sharing your stories, Our Voice Matters, the Grassroots, Exposing the Secrets, we are collecting stories to be used when approaching the government, people in power, okay, media, different places that can help us start to get the attention that this topic deserves. This topic is being pushed under the carpet by everyone that is out here with these titles and these politicians, and it's sickening. And if we don't do something as one, we need everybody, guys. But I have P.O. Box that you can send your story to, and that is P.O. Box 349, Yorkland, Delaware, 19736. And the email address, if you would like to email me your story, I do need names. I do need a point of contact. That way, whoever we are able to share this and get the attention of, if they feel as though they need to reach out to confirm these stories were not written by myself, they have a way to do so. Outside of sharing them with the people of that level, your stories will be held nearest and dearest to my heart, and with utmost confidentiality in that regards. However, if you do send the story, be aware that it is going to be shared at that point, and you're giving me permission to use it on these platforms. I also would like to tell you about, again, abuserregistry.com. If you have an abuser who, whether he has been reported, whether he is in jail, whether he has never been charged, whether you are actively living with him, this registry is legal, legit. You can place your abuser's information in there. It is not to blast anybody's character. It is not to any type of defamation, nothing like that. This is not why we are here. There are people on the other end of that website who are researching and making sure and validating that the abusers and the victimizers that are placed on this list are put there for the proper reasons, not because somebody is out here trying to destroy another person's life. So I want to clarify that. I would like to thank everybody for your time. Please, if you have any questions, any concerns, if you want to reach out just for anything, please feel free. My email is blowing up right now, and I do my best to get back as soon as possible. But I just want to thank everybody for following us. Please share, like, comment, do all of the above. Everybody have a great day. Thank you. Together, no one suffers alone.